Real talk. How many of you go to frequent staff meetings? I'm pretending like you're raising your hands or nodding your head. I can't see. How many of those staff meetings are usually terrible? I'm going to be honest. As a leader, I'm a person who facilitates multiple staff meetings, and I have been feeling like my staff meetings have been terrible lately. Over the last year, I have reformatted my weekly and monthly staff meetings, depending on the teams, multiple times. I've tried to do different things to be more engaging. And the more I try, the more terrible they have become. So in this video, I want to discuss how to have better and more effective staff meetings. I'm going to use my real life experience and share with you the things that haven't been working and some things that I've changed recently that I think are working. Editor's note. I went and edited the entire video, and upon review, I felt like my reasons for saying that my meetings weren't good wasn't fully fleshed out. So I'm taking a section out and I'm recording this. The reason why my previous set of meetings I think were not fulfilling and weren't very good is because I was having meetings for the sake of having meetings, and that is entirely on me. I tried to address feedback provided that people wanted more access to leaders and wanted more information from us. So I created these forums to provide said information. That was entirely on me. It was my decision to do the meetings and to have it on that cadence, and I didn't feel like I said that enough in the video. The issues with the meetings were because of me and because of the way I set the agenda and the reasons why I scheduled the meetings. And I also realized that that needed to change. The meetings didn't feel like they were hitting the mark. Now that I've properly clarified my position, back to the normal video. Thank you. I have multiple teams that report to me, and initially I was having separate staff meetings for each of the groups. This was to make sure that in the smaller sessions, I can give more attention and more focus on the specific needs and problems of each one of those groups. Initially, that specialization was working, but ultimately over the course of months, the session started to get really quiet. Nobody was really asking questions, and I felt like it was more of a broadcast. I was going to the meetings, I was saying things, I was providing information, and we all moved on to the next meeting of the day. Candidly, I'm guessing many of you probably have meetings like that on your calendar right now where people are just checking the boxes, you're saying the things that you need to say or saying the things that you think that you need to say, and we all just move on. I can't let it go. I've just been feeling like the meetings haven't been good, and I keep tinkering and tweaking them to try to get better outcomes. The biggest decision that I've made recently is to collapse the 4 or 5 individual staff meetings that I'm having and turn it into one monthly town hall. It consolidates some of the agenda because I felt like I was repeating myself in some instances multiple times a month. Some of the information overlapped, some of it doesn't. I won't say that that decision has been a success yet. I've received very positive feedback, but I haven't had enough monthly sessions to come back and say this was a rousing success. I need more data points. But this is still a work in progress, and I'm still looking to improve, learn, and make improvements as these monthly meetings are going. So I've been doing some research. Some of these ideas are my own. Some of them come from articles from websites like Predictive Index and RadicalCandor.com and Entrepreneur.com. I have a smorgasbord of ideas, and a lot of them all kind of say the same thing, which is good because it just corroborates and reinforces some of the trends and the directions I was already going in. I want to start off with something that I read on the Predictive Index website. Their suggestion was, as a leader, don't make the meetings about you. Some of these staff meetings that I've been having was a direct response to survey feedback for people saying they wanted more engagement with their leaders, more access to the leaders. And I'm like, how do I do that in a scalable, manageable way? Okay, we'll have these monthly sessions. But now you're having monthly sessions with no specific focus or agenda. That's where it got me thinking, this is too much me focused. And I started to delegate talking points to other members of the team, other leaders within the organization, to start to give them practice, if nothing else, to lead sessions, to lead topics, and to have a safer forum in which they can share their information, their learnings, their metrics. And that leads to another consistent point across all of these articles, which is to make sure you have a set agenda and make sure you share that set agenda ahead of time. Give people the opportunity to peruse the materials, to prepare, so they can become more engaged. I think that is critical. I know as a recipient of meetings, when I don't see agendas, I get a little salty. I'll admit, I get a little bit annoyed when meetings come through and it's like, there's no agenda here, what do they want? Now, a staff meeting, it's a little bit different, let's be honest. You know that you're gonna have some general administrative topics, some maybe organizational topics. A lot of the articles also say focus on a goal. Now, I would say that sometimes you don't have a specific goal that you're necessarily trying to discuss in that meeting. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you may have a very obvious goal, but you're actively trying to maybe take anxiety away from the team. If they're stressing out about hitting a metric, I don't necessarily want to berate them and keep hammering on a specific goal if it's something that I know is causing a stress point and they're doing their absolute best. You have to be careful, right? We have to be focused on our goals and we have to be focused on openly talking about it. Sometimes it's just like beating a dead horse. Another common topic was don't mess with the schedule, be consistent with the timing. Also, and I mentioned this earlier, but delegate responsibilities so it's not always you or one specific person that is taking on the duties of the meeting. Spread it around. It gives everybody a little bit more context. It gives everybody an opportunity to change it up a little bit, and you don't know what's going to come out of it when you have different personalities in the mix. And then obviously make sure that you have copies of the notes in a place where people can access them after the meeting so they can go back and review. So it's important to have an agenda published ahead of time. It's also important to make sure that all of the notes are accessible so people can go back and read them. And one last common best practice that almost all of the articles said is solicit feedback. How did the meeting go? How can it be better? What would you like to see the next time? So those are all fairly standard things that you can do when you're trying to organize and schedule a meeting. Now, one of the articles, specifically the Radical Candor website, said that a good staff meeting should have 3 main focuses. It reviews how things have gone in the previous week or the previous month. It allows people to share important updates. And third, it forces the team to clarify and focus on debate items, things that need the most attention, the most focus, the most clarity. Now, that active debate element is a bit controversial because there are some articles, there is some guidance that says don't have active debates on a staff meeting. Don't do that. Have a set agenda, make it clean, make it move smoothly. And then there are other lines of thought that says, no, have active debates. This is where you get the most value. I'm going to split this one down the middle. I think if you have a large staff meeting with multiple teams and multiple members of each team, I think you should have a clean agenda that isn't really focusing on active debate. Questions, yes, but not necessarily debate. But if you are having a staff meeting with your direct reports, and it is focused on achieving goals, and it is focused on focusing attention, then absolutely the debate conversations should be happening at that level and at those times. Not all staff meetings are created equal, and it's important to shift and be dynamic based on who's attending, why they're attending, and what the ultimate goal of the meeting is. And that leads to my last thought process on staff meetings at the moment, which is I'm trying to actively plan my staff meetings at least 2 months in advance. Again, if they're once a month, have a set agenda, have the next month's agenda half-baked, maybe even start the 3rd month's agenda. So I'm kind of treating each staff meeting like an episode of a TV show. I'm trying to write them in advance. Also being cognizant that if you're trying to plan something 3 months in advance, that's information that the staff may need sooner. But also, if I'm finding that the content isn't coming together, or there really isn't a strong reason to have a meeting, I've been talking with my direct reports and saying, we're going to kill the meeting that month. If it's not vibing, if the content isn't there, just kill the meeting. Don't have an hour on the calendar just that's going to kill people's time and they're not going to leave motivated. They're not going to leave inspired. And that's really the intention of all this. I say this to you on my career and procurement channel. I genuinely, in my personal life, in my professional career, I want to have staff meetings that don't suck. And I want to put the energy into them. I want people coming away from those meetings every month saying, that was a great meeting. I feel energized in my job. That was a good use of 50 minutes to 60 minutes of my time. I'm on a path to get there. My team is on a path to get there, but we're not there yet. And I will let you know as the meetings progress what I've learned, what I've discovered, and how to do it better. Because it is an iterative process and you can always do better. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you like it, if you think it's helpful, like it, leave a comment, and I'll be back with another video in 2 weeks. Take care.